have another example here of the Labour Party's love of bureaucracy, which actually would undermine some of the objectives that they claim to advocate in their motion. If you look at the current rules on HMOs, they involve requirements that are flatly contradictory with the requirements for family housing. So if I look at a street in my ward, not far from where I live, where the houses are tall enough to be registerable as HMOs if they are thus occupied, they stay that way. They never go back to family housing, and the ones that are in family housing use never become HMOs because the costs of moving from one state to another are too high. If you're going to impose that on ordinary two-storey terrace houses all over the city, that will freeze in the pattern you've got. And let me explain one of the reasons why. There's a good example, this should be clear to everyone here. Every council house in the city that's had plastic windows installed has got lockable windows, because that's what our tenants want, to give them some security. Can't have them in an HMO, because you have to be able to get out of the window in a fire in an HMO without requiring to find a key. So all the windows have to be replaced if a house becomes an HMO. And that is the dead hand of bureaucracy that the Labour Party wants to throw onto our housing market right across this city. It's bad enough where it applies now in those streets with the taller houses that require enhanced student housing. Because the biggest HMO example I know in my ward is Jesus Lane, which is all but one house now, student housing. But the council, since long before the present local plan, I might say, the council was totally unable to prevent that kind of change taking place. Because one of the things that has happened in my lifetime in this city is you don't get families living in houses as tenants and taking in lots of lodgers anymore because young people don't want to live like that. They haven't wanted to live like that since they became adults at 18 instead of 21, 42 years ago. So there has been that change, and therefore what we must not do is get into a bureaucracy which makes it worse and locks in existing patterns or costs huge amounts to people that cause landlords to give up if they have to do, which is probably what they would have to do. If you're a landlord of an existing two-storey house, you flog it as off rather than have to change all the windows, for example, or incur that sort of cost. And there's all sort of other things about putting in doors that fire resistant doors that are completely incompatible with most Victorian houses. So let's not glibly talk about licensing and think it doesn't have consequences. It's a layer of bureaucracy which cannot be justified in terms of the number one job, which is to ensure that people have housing in the city.